Hello, Allied Health. We're going to talk about head, neck, and spinal injuries today. Um, and really, what determines the head, neck, or spinal injury is the mechanism of injury. We use that term in Allied Health and in healthcare a lot. And basically, mechanism of injury is what happened to the person. How high was the fall? How fast and hard was the vehicle? Was there a blow to the head? Was there a rapid movement? Car accident. Um, think of football games. Um, the the force and momentum of somebody is the mass times the velocity and the will to hurt somebody. Like that mechanism of injury really determines what happens to a head, neck, or spine. Um, so we want to look for certain things. If we see a severe accident, we want to call 911 right away and check as we're checking the scene. And we want to look for a broken safety helmet, loss of consciousness, behavior similar to that of a person under the influence of drugs or alcohol, confusion, stumbling, repeatedly asking the same questions, memory loss, nausea or vomiting, speech problems. For those of you who don't know, I've been a volunteer firefighter since I was 16, and sometimes I've had to hold people down after a blow to the head because they act like a child trying to protect themselves, or they're screaming obnoxiously out loud. I'm like, oh man, because they've gotten hit in the head so hard. But then there's, somebody's been in an accident and they have the head, neck, or back pain. They just know a partial or complete loss of sensation or movement in the body. Um, Bumps, bruises, or depressed area on the head. We get that bump. Well, my son Liam has constantly fallen. He's been knocked over in soccer, slipped off monkey bars. So he has had that goose egg. And we just take him out of activity for a while. Blood tinged or clear fluids leaking from the ear or nose reminds me of a kid in grade school. He went up in the air, he came down on his head. Bruising around the eyes or behind the ears, impaired breathing, blurred vision or sensitive light, seizures. These are all signs of head, neck, or spinal injuries. And the worst case scenario is somebody doesn't take into account these head injuries. They have a seizure at a later date and they die. Worst case. Second to worst case, paralysis. We want to avoid paralysis. So if you think someone has had a head, neck, or spinal injury, or you've seen a severe traumatic accident, call 911. Approach the person from the front so that the person can see you without turning his or her head. The first thing you should say is don't move. Tell the person to respond verbally to your questions rather than nodding or shaking his or her head. Have the person remain in the position in which he or she was found until EMS personnel arrive and take over. If the person is wearing a helmet, do not remove it unless you have been specifically trained how to do so. It is necessary to remove the helmet to give CPR. Also, if there's a child in a car seat, you don't remove them from the car seat. You leave them in the car seat. If there's any safety equipment on the person, leave it on them. So again, remember rest. Don't move. Have them remain in the position they are in unless the scene is unsafe. Okay. And if you are ever in a car accident, traumatic accident, remember, don't move unless the scene is unsafe. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about concussions next.